We are here to show the real Aotearoa New Zealand that there are many issues affecting us in this little country of ours, and that we want to show you the real New Zealand, the real Aotearoa New Zealand.
Kia ora everybody. There's a tribe of people in this nation who are living in abject poverty. We have 500,000 people on benefits or out of work. We also have another 500,000 people, workers, who earn less than $15 an hour, and many of those people are working on the street of wealth in every Starbucks, in every McDonald's, in every KFC in this city. People who want to work hard, but who can't pay high prices, who can't afford GST increases that John Key lied about. People who are trying to feed their children. 300,000 children in this country living in poverty. And this is a crime. This is a crime. Because the 150 richest people in this country last year between them got an extra $7 billion. If we took that money off them, and one day we will, we could give every worker in New Zealand a job at 30 hours a week on $35 an hour. That's what we have to start demanding in our country. And finally, as we walk up this street of wealth and the street of poverty, and you look at the banks and you look at the fast food outlets that exploit our people, think about one thing. All over the United States of America today, in every city, from Chicago to Los Angeles to Miami, small groups of people like us are occupying the CBD and occupying the financial districts. We need to bring this war to John Key in the middle of this Rugby World Cup. We should occupy Queen Street in solidarity with this people's movement against capitalism. OCC, UPY, what are we going to do?
We do solemnly declare that the salivating and celebrating jaws of the Commonwealth have been the causal link connecting iron-fisted Crown clauses to our lands, waterways and resources. Ripped and torn asunder, we, the native down under, now confined to the spaces hammered between the lines, or worse, to the third rock from the sun, as living in Australia must inevitably one day become.
Kia ora everybody. Well, we've got a lot of organisations out here raising a lot of really important issues today, and this is the best place to be in New Zealand today. So let's have a big cheer for everybody on this hikoi. Kia ora! Well done people, you all made a really good decision today to come here, because you're representing the many people in New Zealand who are having not just a hard go, not just a hard time, but are suffering acutely in a land of plenty.
Welcome to a real common law.
So yeah, this is the real New Zealand represented here on this march. We're representing the people who are living in poverty in New Zealand. We've got 200,000 children plus living in poverty in what is the wealthiest country, certainly in this part of the world. We've got many people living on benefits, as has been said before, and this country is in crisis. It's in crisis because for a past generation we have allowed a tiny number of people to gain extreme wealth at the expense of the majority. And as Joe said, last year just 150 people in New Zealand, just 150, had an increase in wealth of $7 billion. And some of those people actually think they deserve it. They actually think they earned it. But we've got these parasitic bludgers at the top and the majority of people struggling. Well, we are going to change that. We are going to change that. And one of the ways that I'm personally involved in helping to change that is looking at what's happening in Parliament. You know, a generation ago, parliamentarians were paid about the same wage as, or the same income, as a deputy principal of a primary school. Now, at the moment, a deputy principal of a primary school now earns about $70,000. What does a backbench MP earn?
120.
130,000. So MPs have leveraged themselves into the top 2% of income earners in the country, and so they're not interested in putting taxes on people on high incomes. Even Labour is talking about putting taxes on people who are earning over 150,000, so that all the MPs in his party won't have to pay any extra tax. And if you look at MPs also, you find 70% of MPs own more than one property. MPs are not interested in capital gains taxes that are going to take away their wealth. So we've got MPs pushing themselves up into that tiny group at the top that are incredibly wealthy. So what we've got to do, I'm standing for mana this year, and I think mana is going to bring some real change to that system. Kia ora. Kia ora all you mana supporters out there, kia ora. Okay, so it's really good to see you all here. It's good to see you taking part in this hikoi. As I said, this is the most important thing that's happening in New Zealand today. Forget about the bloody rugby matches, because what we're talking about are policies that don't look at people just for the extent of a rugby match, but look at the whole lives of people. And the whole lives of people in New Zealand are being crushed and destroyed by this extreme separation between rich and poor because of policies which are being followed by this government. So good on you for being here. Give yourselves another big round of applause. Kia ora. And let's have a few chants to really rock the street, okay? When people's rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When people's rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When women's rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When women's rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When Māori rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When Māori rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When children's rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When children's rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When people's rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When people's rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. Kia ora koutou, thank you very much.
The issue I'm going to raise is child poverty. In our country we have a beautiful land full of food and resources, but about 20% of our children are living in poverty. Child Poverty Action has been campaigning for years, and so have many other organisations. The wealth of this country needs to be shared so our children can live with a decent standard of living, housing, health, so they can access the resources in schools so they have a chance in life, and so should their families.
They're taking away our right to live. They're taking away our street. This street, named Queen Street, does not belong to the Queen. But it's reminiscent of the colonisation that has never ended in this country. It started out with the colonisation of European coming over. Now it's just economic colonisation. And the colonisation of Māori people and Indigenous people everywhere will not end as long as we live under the system of capitalism that puts profit over people. This is not the Queen Street. This is not John Key Street. This is our street.
We work with people who are so impoverished that they don't even know that a lettuce grows in the garden. They think it comes out of the New World supermarket or pack and save. So when we talk about our people being in poverty, we are in poverty. We are starving in terms of food. We are starving in terms of knowledge. Everything that used to be ours has been taken from us, capitalised and globalised.
I just want to mention the significance of this location. For this Rugby World Cup, our council has paid private security companies to clear homeless people off the streets. So instead of putting that money into education so that these people can actually get out of the position that they have been put into, they're paying private security companies to clear them off the streets. These people live here. They have nowhere else to go. So now they're being prosecuted for having nothing.
On Monday we occupied the business school because we believe We believe the university is the place that is financialising the world. It's where poverty is born, and it's where we can start to overcome it. We believe that the student body needs to be politicised, that the student movement needs to be joined with the workers' movement, with the Indigenous movement, and with all social justice movements in this country.
I'm here today to burn the food bill, the proposed food bill. When I was growing up, and that was way up in the Hokianga, my mother, we had a big garden. We were out there every day. I actually used to be quite pissed off because I thought it was very hard work and I didn't understand really what she was doing. But when it came time to harvest, we fed all our kuia, our kaumatua, we fed our hospital, we fed everybody that came to our house, and they all enjoyed the produce that came out of our garden. If this food bill goes through, they intend to stop that. They tell you that they're not going to do that. That won't stop us from sharing our kai, from sharing our seeds, but in actual fact, it is a start to that process. So we must be proactive and we must be activists and stand up for our rights.
All of Aotearoa New Zealand needs to stand strongly opposed to this bill. We all know where the real cameras need to go, which is in our corporate boardrooms. That's where the cameras need to go. Retrospective legislation is not a good look for any country. 1 minute, what the police are doing is illegal. Next minute, it isn't. The search and surveillance bill is not good for any New Zealanders. We're on our way to a police state, to fascism, that we do not want. All New Zealanders need to stand strong against this bill and don't give in to the scaremongering that is telling you that we need this bill for 40 or 50 plus criminal cases that are currently in the line. There are already criminal acts of law that can help that process as per normal. Don't listen to the scaremongering which says your livelihood depends on having these cameras to be reasonably looking at what you are doing. Let's burn it.
See these tall banks, that ASB up there, that TSB there, that National down there, that Chase Manhattan down the bottom of the road. In America, they can have 10% reserves. They have to have 10% of what they loan you. That means if they make a loan to you 8%, they're really making 80%. In New Zealand, they need a 0% lending ratio, zero. They have to have nothing behind them to loan hundreds of billions of dollars out. If you owe more money than you have, how do you ever pay them back? If I owe $6 on this $5, how the hell can I pay them back? It's not about people having a job. It's about mathematical impossibilities. That's why the whole world is in debt. That's why the whole world has more debt than more currency, than more liquidity. How can you have the whole world out of balance? A shop over there has to balance. The books have to balance. How can we have more debt than credit in a whole planet? We could have 40 planets working, fully employed, and we still would not pay back the debt. We have to change the system. We have to have nations that issue their own money supply. This is why America went to war against the Brits. This is why they killed the Redcoats. People need to learn this stuff. They can't tax us into prosperity. They can't keep stealing from us. The rich avoid the taxes. The poor need to do the same. We need to take the banks back. We need to own our own credit. Otherwise, we're a company, not a nation.
My dream is that we join them in struggle and in solidarity. Thank you.